President Zelensky of Ukraine, what happens? Like, where are you going to beg next? What's going to happen to you? Because now that we have a new president of the United States, and that's none other than President Donald Trump. Trump is the 47th president of the United States. And why I'm very concerned about Ukraine is because America has been funding the war between Russia and Ukraine. And now that we have a new president who does not support the war and has actually promised to end it, what next? I'm going to start with a very interesting thing, and that is the message of congratulations that Zelensky has sent to President Trump. And it reads, "Congratulations, Trump, on his impressive election victory. I recall our great meeting with President Trump back in September when we discussed in detail the Ukraine-US strategic partnership. He goes on to say that he appreciates Trump's commitment to peace through strength approaching global affairs, and this is the exact principle that can practically bring justice to Ukraine closer." It's a long message, but I find it very interesting. I'm just wondering, is he doing this just to find space in Trump's heart to have the tap to continue running, which I highly doubt, because Trump so many times has said he's going to end that war in less than 24 hours. He's already given his speech or acceptance speech. And I don't know if we start counting the hours now or we start counting in January when he's sworn in, but he had said he will end it even before he's sworn in January. So it's very interesting to see this. The message that Zelensky is sending. Again, some people look at it as a way of trying to place himself to continue begging. Others look at it as a way of trying to see if Trump will, allow Ukraine to join NATO, which I have my doubts, because from the beginning, Trump has been against this war. For them, having Trump at the top causes a big worry, actually, for them. One is because if the arms pipeline slows down or halts, it means then Russia has the power. So, which is highly likely, for the US to go to war, it's usually the United States goes to war with personal interests at heart. The United States has been the one fighting this Ukraine war against Russia. But from the way it's been analyzed, even the way Trump has been speaking about it, even when Biden looks at it, he's the current president who's been funding this. Looking at it critically, the US is not benefiting in anything at all. If anything, they're just spending resources, sending arms, and putting in more billions. But at the end of the day, nothing to gain. So if this arms pipeline, if Trump decides to end this pipeline that has been sending the arms, then it means Ukraine is not in a position to. And this actually worries Zelensky to a big chunk. He's super worried. Another issue that will come up with this win is Europe's political support, which has been indispensable, and its weapons are actually appreciated. But you cannot compare what Europe has been giving to what the United States has given. So far, actually, the Washington has put about $64 billion. It's bigger than what Europe as a whole has been giving to Ukraine. So if the United States pulls out of this or brokers a peace deal, that's it. And we all know what a peace deal, the probabilities of a peace deal, because it means a lot of other factors will be put into consideration. So that whole idea causes a big worry for Zelensky. So Donald Trump it's been no secret he's promised to end the war in less than 24 hours and actually cut the spending on war, because he believes the whole idea of spending money on that war is not adding value to the United States. And he has repeatedly attempted to block aid packages, even when he was not the president, in Congress, and he's been promising that, or threatening that, to force Moscow and Kyiv to reach a deal before the US presidential inauguration in January. So we have about maybe 2 months before that to watch if that happens. And I'm very interested to know how he reaches out to, I think for him it's easier to control Zelensky and tell him either cede or sign an agreement. But I would be very interested in the conversation that Trump will have with President Putin, because they're both alpha males, they're both very powerful men, they're both people who who take a stand, unlike Zelensky, who's controlled by powers. And of course, we understand some of the factors is because Ukraine is small, Ukraine has no power, Ukraine can't stand by itself against Russia. So it will be very interesting to watch and hear how Trump actually negotiates with Putin, because I believe President Putin is actually the main negotiator in this. So in September, Zelensky secured a meeting with President Trump early during the campaign season. And one of the things that Zelensky tried to do is he tried to plead the cause. And it was the first time the two leaders actually met in 5 years. But it was very interesting that even after that meeting, Trump came out to say that, Ukraine must agree to end this war. And he feels that they allowed it to begin instead of them taking action at the very beginning and not, have an agreement that would not put them at war. So the money will stop, and now Zelensky, of course, will be stuck. He's actually, I think, in one of the interviews he did, it was, I think with The Guardian, was the question of what next for him. And he kept crying out, that Russia has support from North Korea, and the partners that are with Ukraine are not putting in more, and that worried him. This is just this week. So you can imagine if he was crying about North Korea, which actually the leaders have not confirmed whether it's true or not that the soldiers are there, then what's next? I don't know how he's going to call this whole message now that Trump is president. What's next for his country? So, and a lot of the people who are commenting, most critics and people who are very big on geopolitics are actually saying he better call Putin for peace talks. It's about time at this moment, or he better just negotiate peace with Putin. So, bottom line here, the man who wins in all this will be President Putin, because he stands a higher chance. He has respect from President Trump. And he also, I want to believe he also respects Trump, so they can easily find a way out. But these two gentlemen, when put together, I feel like they have contempt for Zelensky. Like, he's not a man they would be in the same room and treat him as an equal partner, or treat him in a way that he can take a stand. I feel like they don't look at him as this man who can, stand on his own, or even for his country. So the other issue is the G7 leaders. Do you think, because we've had sanctions and the frozen Russian assets that were frozen a while back. So I don't know, G7 leaders, will they agree to deliver the $50 billion in loans to Ukraine from the frozen assets, or will they get to a point where they say, now that we have a new president who's trying to negotiate a way out, will he campaign to lift these frozen assets so that Russia gets back its assets? Still something to watch out for. So in an interview with The Guardian in late May, Zelensky actually admitted that he had no strategy yet if President Trump wins. That is just the other day. Now we have a Trump president. Again, I don't think he has a strategy, and his strategy will be what he will be told to do. And unfortunately or fortunately, America is very big in NATO, like their power, they are one of the biggest voices in NATO. So the whole idea of wanting Ukraine to join NATO, number one, that's not going to happen with Trump, because he will look at it at the value addition that America is gaining from that. And sincerely, it's a loss for them because they keep funding Ukraine. So I don't think he will allow that to happen. The influence he has on the NATO nations is so big that I think even Europe will want now to move with what Trump or America rather will be pushing for. So with that in mind, then I think Ukraine, it's about time they call President Putin and say, okay, it's been a rough 2 years, and maybe we can find a way out. And that way out for Putin, what it is. So he also warned that Trump risked being tagged as a loser president if he allowed Russia to win the war. Where we are at, it's not a thing of President Trump losing or winning. It is done. He's already president. I don't think he will want to get the US to keep moving on that push of, funding Ukraine and not seeing the benefits. Again, the citizens, he was very big during his campaign on ensuring that people can make more money, people can get an affordable life. And there's no way you can use people's taxes to fund war and the citizens don't see the value. So he will be very big on implementing the promises. Maybe he promised people, because having taxes then ending in war does not add value to the citizens, and this is something he really campaigned on. So again, I think he will want to have America have more money, or money in circulation, or even people affording their goods and services on a daily, rather than funding soldiers to go fight. So that's how Trump will look at this. So the liberation of Kyiv and parts of East and South was rooted in superior military skills, weapons, and motivation. For the 3 years, and tens of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers and forces are dead, injured and exhausted. This country has been at war for now. This is the 3rd year. Imagine being at war. Do you know the amount of resources, the amount of people that die, the displacement that comes with that, the instability that comes for the country? At this point, everyone is tired and everyone just wants the war to end. But if Ukraine wants to keep pushing, I want to believe Russia is not, we've not seen the worst of Russia in terms of their military skills, their weapons and everything around it. They could go on and on. Unfortunately, they will spend more money. But as it is, and having President Trump in power, I don't think that is going to happen. So maybe it's time Zelensky accepts. I mean, it's been 2-3 rough years. The ending is not what he expected, but somehow it might have to happen, or somehow he just needs to find a way, and there's only one way to this. So, and everyone understands that Trump doesn't care even a bit about Ukraine, because there's no value that Ukraine, or the war between Russia and Ukraine, gives to the US. Technically speaking, there's no value addition. So, and that Trump presidency would be a trip it's a trip like a casino for Ukraine. It's a gamble. They don't know what to expect. It's either a win or a loss. And chances are, if the two nations are left together, Russia wins that down. The other issue has been the question of usage of long-range missiles. I don't think the world wants to go that direction at all, because if they go that way, it would mean just one thing: we're heading to a nuclear war. But is the world ready for a nuclear war? No, nobody wants nuclear war, because at the end of the day, war does not benefit anyone. Essentially, it will just be a thing of ending the world. But for what reason? You think Trump campaigned all that and spent all those resources and even had people like Elon Musk on his side just to come and create a nuclear war and end it without him having spent his 4 years in power? That's not happening. So Europe cannot bear the burden of war alone. Like if the US decides to withdraw resources, Europe cannot fund Ukraine by themselves. They don't have the capability, or they may have the resources, but they're not willing to put all those resources just to, be at war with Russia. So what will happen? If America decides it's done, we're not funding this, then even Europe will adapt and say, you know what, it's not happening. And that will have Zelensky left by himself, and that will mean one thing. Again, that will be a win for Russia. So when speaking to a rally in Michigan on Saturday, Trump complained that the US is being taken advantage by every country all over the world, including their allies. And in many cases, the allies are worse than our so-called enemies. So you can already see what he's trying to send a message. We are being taken advantage to put our resources while our people suffer here. Why would we continue doing that? And the concern is that Trump, once in office, will withdraw the military support and apply pressure on NATO allies. Once that is done, of course, that jeopardizes the security of Eastern Europe, and that will mean that Europe is not interested in putting, resources. So they better be at peace with the United States. And if that happens, actually, countries such as Poland, Estonia, all the countries that actually border Russia will be affected directly. So these countries also, for purposes of their peace, they will support, whatever side America takes, it will be more, every country will want to be on that side. And Trump's peace plan reportedly involves pressuring Ukraine to cede territory or abandon its NATO aspirations. It's rather obvious. And we can only wait and see what happens, but the truth is America will withdraw, that's for sure. Trump is not here to be at war with Russia because he knows the amount of power they hold. And also, the two have been buddies of some sort. Trump and Putin are sort of buddies. They may not be the best of buddies, but I feel they have a way of communicating and getting things done that may end this. And unfortunately, this may end with Ukraine ceding parts of the land that has been an issue. And that tussle will end, unfortunately, with Russia, or fortunately with Russia winning this war. So yeah, that's what I am looking forward to. I am really interested to see how that develops. And you can actually share with us in the comment section, what do you think, how do you think the relationship between Russia, Ukraine, and United States will be in the coming days as we watch towards that? And yeah, tell us in the comment section, and we will see you on the next episode as we look more into the geopolitics of Trump presidency. Thanks for watching.